This is an early picture of Taft, the early 1940s. Ballard Motors is right there. The museum, Lincoln Bank, Getzelman Brothers, which is now Kenny's IGA, has not been built yet. So it's prior to 1945. Bob Ballard in his car outside Ballard Motor Company. Factory truck with Representative Gordon Laradon and Bob Ballard, with Lauren Golly inspecting a log trailer. Inside Ballard Motors.
My name is Kurt Olson. I'm the Director of Urban Renewal, and this building, since we've purchased it, currently is being used sort of as a staging area for the projects that we're doing down here in Taft, for the undergrounding project and currently the Highway 101 improvement project. And then we hope to transform it into a glass studio, glass foundry facility for blown glass. And we're working along those lines to do some renovations to the building and be able to bring that type of facility down here into the Taft area.
Okay, what do you know about the previous owner, Tom Litfin Motors?
Prior to the city's ownership of the building, it was owned by Tom Litfin, and he ran an auto repair business out of this building. And prior to that, Bob Ballard owned the building, and I believe he was also the person who built the building. And he did several things here. I believe there was a Dodge dealership here, and there was also a manufacturing of fire trucks was done here, and probably some mechanical stuff too.
Okay, thanks, Kurt.
A long time ago, I was strictly a body and fender man. And later, I did more and more of the mechanic because I knew quite a little bit about a diesel engine.
Yeah.
I grew up with it. And so, Ron Cook at Ballard would go back east and buy old trucks and have them brought out here. And then when they got them here, we'd remodel them, go through them, and our idea was to make them so that the fire district that bought them could get about 20,000 trouble-free miles of them. You know, in a year's time, a fire truck don't travel big miles.
Yeah.
And that's what Ballard and Ron Cook and I did, and with some more working here. And get out of the camera while I broke the motors.
Okay, this probably looks pretty familiar.
Well, that looks like hers, a new pickup, so fairly new. Wouldn't surprise me, and they were brand new. See, he was a dealer in the agency for the Dodge people.
Yeah.
See, he was just going good, and then come the war, and right away quick, he couldn't get no cars, couldn't get no pickups, and if he got a truck, it had to be for somebody like Warner Timber or somebody like that. So that made him move down to join up with Warner Timber Company down there at Streetcar Village.
Oh, he did. I didn't know that. So what kind of cooperative venture did they have?
Well, it was a full-fledged logging company, Warner Timber Company.
And so he provided the vehicles for them?
Well, some of them, yes, through the years, because he had the Dodge agency. And with the connection with the timber company, which at that time the War Production Board felt was very necessary, or he was able to get cars and trucks for them.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, if you want to carry this for me, we'll walk back in there where it'll be a little bit quieter. Definitely quieter.
see, at first it was just see this joint on the concrete here. This front end was all there was to it.
Oh, yeah. But Bob Ballard added this part back here, you think?
Yeah, he added on to it as the neighborhood grew. And you see back there's another joint added on back there. as the business grew. See, we've got another, see over here, that thing on the floor over there, that's another hoist.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
See, those slide out and swing around to match the frame of a car or a pickup or whatever. And you'll go over here. And this is what operates
The hoist, huh?
that hoist.
Oh, okay. Sounds like it's working. This isn't gonna hoist me up, is it?
That's the frame there.
Oh.
It may come on automatically.
Yeah.
It may be that I charge it up to make it. Well, anyhow, and I did a lot of work in this little room
Really?
on starters, generators, carburetors, all little stuff like that.
Kind of a small workplace.
Well, small workbench. I had a lot of test equipment in there.
Boy, it is small.
Should be a, that right off. I think it was,
Automatic.
I suppose all the lights have been taken out of it. Here's the air connection here. Plug in there. But for a long time, see, the good big part of the painting was done right next door here. That was the paint room there.
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Right? See, it's gone. The paint room was right here.
Yeah.
See, when they put the street through, it removed part of the paint room.
Uh-huh.
It
There's
was,
gonna be a lot bigger
it was
thing.
two stalls right here.
Yeah.
And that was for the paint room.
We won't recognize this place
No,
in
they
another
won't
year or
recognize
so.
it because it's all different.
Yeah. But still, at this point, the original frame,
Yeah. It's still. And there was another grease deal further down, another rack that they didn't use for greasing. They used it more for painting. See here? See, this is part of it right here that's been cemented over. I expect that rack, that grease deal is, or that hoist deal is still down there.
yeah.
But they, see the frame of it? See, this lifted one end of the car, that end down there lifted the other end. See, the length of this adjusted for the length of the vehicle.
Okay.
This part of it would run back and forth to adjust to whatever the length of the vehicle. Normally the hind wheels of the vehicle is set here. And the front wheel would be up there on that, and it would slide back and forth to whatever you need.
Ingenious.
And later, we used it to paint the tanks for the fire trucks. And every now and then, we'd have one up and painting it, forget and leave it up and come down the next morning, be laying on the floor because I always went down.
Oh, really?
The big air compressor set over here in this corner.
Can you remember any other surprises or problems or?
Well, see the heater up there?
Yeah.
Well, it was mostly my job to get up and clean that thing out because there was so much dust and painting going on in here that it would have a coating that thick and you wouldn't get any heat on it.
Would you say you worked here for several years?
Off and on, yes. What I would do a lot of times was get 2 or 3 trucks ready for the rest of the crew. And then I'd go to the desert for 2 or 3 months and then come back in the spring and do some more.
Sounds like almost like an ideal life.
Well, it was kind of halfway accidental because I was retiring when I quit FBM Co. And so I come down here thinking I would get some cows and run on Lucille's place up the creek up here. Well, I went to the auction and they're singing songs. So I put in a day out there listening to them sing songs they're trying to sell. And I almost bought 2 or 3 critters and I didn't know whether I was buying them by the pound or by the legs or what. So I come back and was talking to Ballard just like I'm talking to you. And he says, I got the cure for that. So he says, come down and go to work for me whenever you feel like working. And that's what I did for several years there. A lot of times I'd come down and look things over and turn around and go back home. A lot of times I'd go back in that little room and start working on starters, generators, or whatever. And then back here, well, they might have a transmission all tore up.
Well, and you only live 2 miles away.
2 miles away. And it's like Ballard said, he says that's a whole lot different than trying to raise cows. So what it ended up doing, I think at a couple of times I had 1 or 2 cows. And they were a problem because 1 or 2 is just as much trouble as a whole herd.
Yeah.
And it would tie us up, so by working here most of the year and then we could go to the desert and play for 2 or 3 months and then come back. And by that time they had need of me some more, so that's what I was doing.
Sounds great.
For several years. I can't tell you just how many. Ron Cook might be able to tell you, but I can't.
Yeah.
But it was somewhere between 81 and 92 or 93.
You mean 41? 41?
Well, 41, that's a long time ago.
Well, what was from 81? I thought you were talking about when you worked here.
Well, I am, because it was part-time.
Yeah.
I would work here maybe 2 or 3 months, and then I'd be gone.
Yeah.
And then they'd get in another bunch of old trucks to make fire trucks out of, and by that time I'd be back and maybe work for a month, and then go someplace else, do something else.
So you started around 1981?
Boy, it's just hard for me to remember.
How old were you in 1981? What year were you born?
1914.
So you would have been 67? 67 years old?
Somewhere in there. See, I retired, I think at 62.
Yeah.
And then went back to work for Ballard.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know.
And now you're what? 87?
I think I'm 88.
88?
No, I'm not quite.
Not-
On
when's
the
your birthday?
21st, I will be 88
On the 21st?
of March, yeah.
Oh, on beginning of spring.
Yeah, I've always have been a spring chick.
That should give you a boost every year. Well, you think of any more stories about this place?
Well, one I can think of, but we had a lad that knew it all, and he didn't know anything. And first out, he goes and plugs in something that was 220 into the, no, that was 110 into the 220 circuit. It was our hacksaw. It was sitting over there. And he plugs it into a 220 circuit and blew half of it up, as well as melting the power line down over there to the store.
Really?
Yeah, because see, the power lines come over from there. And we had him for quite a while, and he could get himself into more problems. Because if you ask him, he knew everything, but when he got right down to it, there was a lot that he had to learn, but he wouldn't admit it until he'd already goofed it up.
That sounds sort of like that guy you told me about that was on the logging crew. And they called in, and what did the crew boss say? Come and get him? Something?
Yeah,
What did...
they put him on a stump, yeah. Come get him so he won't hurt himself.
I think you probably run into a lot of people like that.
I can remember a dumb one by me. I get an empty thinner drum, goes right over there, see that plug-in, we had a grinder and a wire brush that was right there. And I get this thinner drum that's empty and set it there, and I've got a whole bunch of valves to clean up. So here I am cleaning those up, and I had coveralls draped over that 110-pound grease barrel. And I left, took my coveralls with me, and later in the day, somebody did some welding over here. And some of the sparks went over and got inside of that barrel. It got bigger. That barrel that was about that high got about that high, and got about like that. I wonder if they took all of that moist out, or they just filled in on top of it.
Be interesting to find out.
Doesn't matter.
They'll probably put a whole, what do you think, a whole new floor in if they put a glass studio in here.
Yeah. I don't remember what that was, but it seems to me it was a valve that there was a plate there, I think, that had the control right in it. Because this was where you operated from. And here's where the hoist part of it, you can move it back and forth to match the length of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Well, how'd you get along with Bob Ballard?
How did I get along with Ballard?
Mm-hmm.
Ballard and I never crossed words.
Mm-hmm. You still in touch with him?
Kind of through Ron Cook. My right hand's no good anymore. And
Well, he's down in
he's down,
the sunny land, Arizona.
he's down north of north of Yuma,
Yeah.
north and west. He's practically on the road to Mexico from Yuma.
Yeah.
And see, Yuma stretches out there quite a long ways, because that part of it is under the irrigation. His place is under irrigation. He can flood it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
And after he went down there, he got a couple of horses to ride. And then when he'd come up here in the summer, he'd bring them up to my place and turn them loose up there.
Yeah.
But
No mares, huh? You told
What?
me the other day about milking a mare. You're not going to talk about that.
But here's the deal. Ballard's horse got nervous with him once down there and threw him, and then stepped on him and broke his leg.
Ooh.
And that kind of put the coatus to Ballard's horse riding of his horse. See, he was part of the sheriff's posse down there.
Yeah. Yeah, that would kind of discourage you.
Yeah.
You told me about your dad having a
Well,
bad experience with a horse.
Well, he had a gut though, that's affected him the rest of his life.
What happened?
A horse, he had shot it and got on it, and it ran in the barn. And the barn door wasn't high enough, and it broke him right back over the back of the saddle. And he said for 18 months he was paralyzed. And then he said one morning he woke up, hey, I can wiggle my toe.
Boy, pretty amazing. So you were quite young then, huh? And you
I
had-
wasn't even thought of.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't?
This was when he was a young man,
Oh.
but he was a blacksmith and was following the blacksmith's trade. And that kind of put a coitus to that, so he had to figure out another way of making a living. That's when he started being a farmer.
And he taught you a lot of stuff, didn't he?
Well, yeah, how to weld iron and like that, but he never learned arc welding or acetylene welding, either one. It was forged with him. All of it was forged. But this was one of my I think I may have told one of your photos was my dream to be able to weld two pieces of iron together
Yeah,
without using a forge.
yeah. So how'd you do that?
Well, you take a acetylene torch with oxygen, with acetylene and oxygen, and you get an intense heat right where you want it.
Yeah.
With a fire, how big a fire you got? Well, in a forge, you're lucky if you get a fire that small
Oh, yeah.
with good coal. I'll be throwing this in the corner.
Did you look at all the pictures here of all the trucks? And I guess maybe they built all these or rebuilt them.
Well, they went through here and was, you know.
There's it's one of their own, Dodge.
Mm-hmm.
And they loaned a car to the high school
Yeah.
for driving. That's him right there, isn't it? I think that is.
Yeah, I think so.
And,
I think you there, you know, that's Otis. They had the outlet up there
This is
at Ocean Lake.
this is Dean Colvin.
Yeah.
It's a Franz Butternut truck.
Yeah.
And
Looks like propane tank.
Bay City Oyster
Right.
Company,
Oh,
Malport.
Bay City Oyster, yeah. That's up north. Gas heat. I don't know if I'm in that picture or not.
This is him. You're not in this picture. I looked at the names.
Did you? Okay.
That's all the kids, the high school kids.
Mhm.
That's it. These were all done by, well, some of them were done by Sunset Studio in Newport.
Mhm.
Well,
Well, now, over yonder was the doorway into the blue. That's the doorway into the restrooms, and there were a certain amount of parts were there. We kept the gaskets in a deal we pulled down from overhead.
oh yeah.
A board, you know, several boards with
Yeah.
gaskets on them. And that went into the parts room. The other door went right into the parts room. But I worked more in the little room back here in the corner.
Yeah. That was your studio. That was your studio.
Well, that is a place where I could have, tear something up and leave it there.
Yeah.
Like a starter, or a carburetor, or a generator, or alternator, or whatever I wanted. And what used to get me so unhappy, I would be working on the engine, have it all covered up, and come back a day or two later, and the cover was all gone, and they were sandblasting and all over it. Ay, just ready to climb the wall.
Yeah.
And we had one guy here that, I was going to tell you this, and he knew all about how to do everything. You know, you run into them. He knew it all.
Yeah.
So I let him carry into one of those 13-speed Fuller transmissions. Well, they're different. You've got two counter shafts instead of one. One of them's with red paint, the other one with black paint. you put the wrong one in the wrong place and the cover won't go on. Because they're actually sitting in there at an angle like that instead of like that.
Yeah.
Well, he knew it all, so okay, go ahead. And so the only thing that happens when you get the counter shafts in there wrong, the cover won't go on. So he has it all together, but the cover won't go on. But he knew all about it. He says, well, I've got the wrong parts here somewhere or another. I said, well, all you got is got them in the wrong place, as a matter. I says, this counter shaft belongs over there and that belongs over here. Then the cover will go on. He didn't believe it. I said, well, go ahead and tear it up and then we'll put it back together. Well, what else you want to know?
Well,
See, that's our iron rack over there on the wall.
it's a what rack?
Iron.
And what's that used for?
Well, different iron. You know, when you're building one of those trucks, you got to put walks around them and just all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You can get near a fire truck while you can understand a lot more of it. Nowadays, it's all panels and the construction's all covered up. In those days, it wasn't. A fire truck was a fire truck.
Yeah.
Now they are more of a. Look at this little trailer they got here. A little sweeper would be the way they build a fire truck. A radiator up there that had hot water on it through it with a fan behind it, but the main furnace was right in here. See the pipes?
Wait, I can't do it when I'm holding all this stuff. Can you hold this?
Just get over here and it's easier to see.
Yeah.
See, here's the pipe we hooked to the quite a boiler here.
Yeah.
It was oil fired.
And then you were showing me the hookup for the air compressor over here, right there. And look there, there's somebody wrote their initials here. This might be Bob Ballard's initials. It says RHB.
H. Ballard. Robert H. Ballard.
20th of October, 1945.
Just exactly what year he kept adding on to it. As you can see, the original building came to here, and then they added on this, which added on the office and this room
Yeah.
here.
That really added
Yeah.
quite a bit of space.
See, this was,
It's got a little attic in there with
yeah.
a ladder going up
I
there.
think I've been up in there a few times too. I don't remember why now. But
Well, the basic stuff is all still here.
you see, a lot of times I could get back here because they had a vehicle back here all tore to pieces and they couldn't take it out, so I could work on it right there. And we had to plug in for the welder 2 or 3 different places.
Well, let's.
Covered parts on both sides.
Well, there's you have some
And,
stairs up here.
Yeah, there's quite a bit, was quite a bit of room upstairs.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if the building is, I don't see no lights coming on.
No.
Used to keep a lot of parts up there. And had a gasket board here that pulled down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And say you put gaskets on the board and then folded it up. You put more gaskets on the next board and folded it up. And you pulled it down to look at the one you wanted to see.
Yeah. Pretty ingenious. We probably can't even get out if we go in
These are
here.
parts bins.
Uh-huh.
This has got a brick in it. Look at the wire
Yeah.
cable. See, due to Bob being the head honcho with the fire department, he had to have contact to a lot of things all the time.
Yeah. This little room, wonder what was here.
Well, this was kind of parts books,
Yeah.
and this was kind of the shop foreman's territory.
Yeah. Well, we got out here.
Out this crank, this whole door reels up. See here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See the parts bins?
Lots and lots of
Lots,
part
you know,
cabinet.
with an agency, you had to have lots of parts
Oh,
bins.
yeah.
This was more of the bookkeeper's territory.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's the cans.
Looks like
nickel
they're
apiece.
having some parties here. There's the men's.
Knock, knock.
This was his little office.
Yeah, well, that's, I think this was Cook's office now. This is the outhouse. But Ballard had this territory over here.
That's the ladies
Well, I know, but in here.
in here.
This was Ballard's hangout.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit bigger.
Well, and
And curtains.
the glass, that was putting all glass and it got broke, so it got
Yeah.
changed. We got heat coming. I'll bet that's those radiant heat you.
Warm in here.
Yeah. I wonder if I turn them on back there with that switch. Here's the control here. And a nice little outhouse here.
Yeah.
There's another thing that's not important, probably to you. See, come over here and peek over the edge there. Right down, see that piece of metal there?
Huh?
Right here,
Oh, yeah.
in the sidewalk.
In the
There's a-
sidewalk?
There's a,
Oh,
see
yeah.
that piece of metal there?
I'm not quite tall enough. Yeah, I can just barely
Right.
see it.
You could pull up there with an RV and hook the hose to the septic tank
Oh, really?
and drain it right there.
Well, that's of interest to me.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna do that, huh?
No, it's just a curiosity that I would never know if you hadn't told me.
Well,
Yeah, that's a kind of interesting. That again.
where the tanks were on the one time, but there's where the island was right there.
Uh-huh.
And the tanks were supposed to be right here, and Ron and I drilled for half a day trying to find them, and found later that they had cut them open and dumped scrap metal in.
Yeah.
And that's what we were hitting with the drill bit.
Uh-huh. Here's another little doodad.
We're headed for the museum.
Yeah, round to the back. Their trucks made at Ballard Motors at Taft Fire Hall, 1953. Men from left to right: Al Ball, John Bolden, Pete Berendrick, Jim Lance, Dean Reimers, Jack Garrison, Ralph Baller, Glenn Diffenbacher, Bob Wright, Dwayne Griffith, Elmo St. Clair, and Harvey Cross. Elmo St. Clair and Harvey Cross.